Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Eun Kim from Seoul, Korea. I will start off this panel sessions, but unfortunately, I have to leave in between the sessions. So if you don't see me, I'm on the plane. This morning, we have four very distinguished scholars, and I will start to introduce them. The first person who will present the paper is Professor Lee Hyang-sun. She's sitting next to me. She's a Korean professor. She received her degree in English from Penn State University in USA, and right now she's teaching comparative literature at the Georgia University. And then I think I can start the other presenters this morning. The second, all right, we'll start with Professor Lee first.
Film plays an important role as an educational tool today. Multimedia are particularly useful in presenting religious traditions of faraway cultures. These media include not only educational documentaries, but also commercial fiction films. However, fiction films about religion often pose questions on their ethnographic authenticity and interpretive objectivity. Although these concerns are often raised in an intra-cultural context, they take on complex implications in an intercultural viewing situation. My presentation today focuses on cross-cultural and interreligious issues related to fiction films about Buddhism, using a Korean film, Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter and Spring by Kim Gi-duk, as an example. One of the advantages of using a fiction film as a way of understanding Buddhism is that it provides the spectator with multiple channels of information. To the distant observer in the West as well as in the East, Buddhist rituals, arts, and architecture that are unfurled on the silver screen offer a multi-dimensional experience. Such an exposure generates in the spectator a sense of proximity and immediacy with regard to a larger socio-cultural system from which the specific local Buddhist tradition evolved. Narrativity is another key factor that makes Buddhist films attractive and accessible. In terms of their reliance on a well-constructed storyline, Buddhist films do not differ greatly from more traditional genres of cinema. The classical narrative film is based on a chain of events that are linked in terms of the conventional notion of cause and effect. Although visuality and narrativity serve as two chief sources of the cinematic force, they are the sources of trouble as well. Problems of visuality can occur in any types of films, but those of narrativity are in a sense unique to Buddhist films because these works usually incorporate the concept of karma into their narrative structure. Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter and Spring is applauded for its beautiful cinematography. It presents Buddhist monastic life against the backdrop of a picturesque natural landscapes. While the artistic merits of these images deserve a critical recognition, it should be also noted that Kim's visual language is fraught with so-called Zen mystique. The spatial setting of this film narrative is far removed from the social world. The floating temple, in particular, it epitomizes a Sun utopia, Zen utopia, which is disconnected from society and is untainted by its ills. This is, of course, until a girl suddenly shows up in the secluded hermitage. To the spectator unfamiliar with Buddhism, and specifically Korean Zen monasticism, the idealized natural environment of the hermitage speaks of Sun as transcendent of the here and now. The enchanting visuality of this film is likely to exoticize the Sun tradition. From a cross-cultural point of view, the seductive power of the sun in this film invites a comparison with that of the Zen tradition D.T. Suzuki transmitted to the West. It is well known that Suzuki characterized Zen as pure experience. This approach to Zen, according to Bernard Thor, is historical, elitist, and even sectarian. From a Buddhist perspective, Kim's narrative also displays thematic ambiguities, which are largely attributable to the director's inadequate use of the concept of karma. A good example is found in the elderly monk's self-immolation sequence. The ritual suicide, as an extreme form of a devotional act, is known to have been committed in medieval China, but records of its occurrences are not found in the history of Korean Buddhism. Now I'm going to show you a few clips from the film. Now, the disciple of the old monk comes back to the temple after serving a prison term for murdering his wife. Reminding the spectator of Adam and Eve. If this reading can be stretched a little bit further, the old monk can be regarded as playing the role of God in Christianity. To the young girl, the old monk is a life restorer, if not a life giver. Not only that, but he keeps an eye on the sexual attraction between her and his young disciple. When he discovers them lying naked together in the boat one day, he becomes so angry that he expels the girl from the temple. A perceptive spectator of these scenes cannot but recall the wrath of God in the Old Testament. Incidentally, Kim Gi-do, the director, is a Protestant who once seriously entertained the idea of going into the ministry. Seen in this light, his film can be read as a uniquely contemporary form of an encounter dialogue between Buddhism and Christianity, and as such, it seems to bring back the old specter of Orientalism in the reverse route. Spring, summer, fall, winter, and spring demonstrates the growing interest of the Korean film industry in Buddhist temple life. Filmmakers take the movie camera into the inside world of reclusive mountain monasteries, bringing various ethnographic elements of the Korean Sun tradition to the theater. As is testified to by this film, narrative fiction films about local Buddhist traditions have attracted global attention. This popularity is clearly reflected in the increasing number of Buddhist films in our neighborhood video DVD rental shops. As more and more moviegoers in traditionally non-Buddhist countries are exposed to the real version of Buddhism, a scrutiny of its impact on the cross-cultural audience is emerging as a critical task for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Yi, for your very unusual topic. If I may so, I personally saw this movie, and the movie won Grand Lion Award at the Berlin movie ceremony. And my personal feeling is that visual art, either video or movie, is a very effective way of communication these days. And perhaps in our next Sakadira meeting, we can include session on visual art. And also, we have to check, but it might be possible that we can borrow the video and bring at the conference site and show to the people that who are interested in watching. Thank you. Now, thank you. Our second presenter is another very, very exciting, distinguished person. Can I introduce her then, Professor? Now, let me pronounce it correct. Ren Lang Shi, right? Ren Lang Shi. Professor Shi received her degree from Berkeley University in 1982, and she was ordained as a Ven in 1974. Right now, she teaches Buddhist history at the Hu Fan University in Taiwan, in Taipei, Taiwan. Professor Shi.
Honorables and all participants, good morning and amigo. I'm happy to be here and to present my paper. It's titled as Enlightenment in the Time Paintings of Venerable Huan, who is my beloved and master. The time painting has its origin in traditional Chinese painting and was greatly influenced by the Tan school of Chinese Buddhism. The Tan, the word it is pronounced as Zen in Japanese. And Venerable Huan was a Dharma master with interest in such diverse fields as education, especially what she called enlightened education, time meditation, time painting, calligraphy, Chinese literature, and Buddhist literature. Because of her dedication to Buddhist practice and her continuous conscious practice of painting throughout her life, Venerable Huan was able to depict her own experience of Buddhism and practice through her art. Her time paintings convey her time practice and the essence of enlightenment. Her creative work therefore points to something beyond the images themselves. A prominent characteristic of Venerable Huan's paintings is her clarity of purpose, which is to convey her life philosophy through the subtitle of her art. In the early stage of her career, the central themes of her paintings were generally taken from poetry of the Tang and Song dynasties. Later, she tended to use more Buddhist teaching poems of Tang masters and Tang itself as the subject of her paintings. Taking Tang as the theme of a painting invited viewers to meditate on the core message of Tang. Since the ultimate concern of Tang is enlightenment, excuse me, her painting made it possible to understand Tang practice and get a glimpse of enlightenment. The enlightenment state in Venerable Huan's Tang paintings. Among the huge collection of Venerable Huan's Tang paintings, we cite only a few but representatives of her Tang art works to show the enlightenment state in these works. I think in this section, I think I will use the PowerPoint to introduce my master's Tang painting, and before that, there will, as a brief introduction of Rainbow Hill 1. And so the first part, I just selected some pictures of her activities because she was well known before she became a Buddhist monk, and she traveled around the world and south part of China. So we will start it. In 1949, she studied in India at the Shantiniketan Tagore University, and she studied Indian art and also taught the Buddhist art at the university there. And in 1952, she came back to Hong Kong from India, and she taught there. And in 1955, she started a 4-year trip around the world, and she started from Asian countries in Philippines and Manila. And also, 1957, she arrived in Germany, Freiburg, and there the people asked her to paint paintings. Actually, it's a Chinese plum blossom and pine tree on a very huge vase. But I don't know if, because at that time this vase was located in the city hall, and I don't know if the vase still there. Probably we can ask Jampa Chitong. And in 1957, she visited Vatican, and after her trip of around the world, she went back to Hong Kong and became a Buddhist nun in 1958. Followed the Tiantai Tanshu Dashi, the Master Tanshu. And in 1978 in Taiwan, and because she was invited by the Chinese Cultural University in Taiwan to teach Buddhist philosophy and Buddhist art at the university. And at the same time, she also established Buddhist Lotus Ashram as a Buddhist college for Buddhist nuns. And now it's about they celebrate its 32nd annually. And so these some activities, and this one I just asked Venerable Leshe, and she said it's probably in 1991 when she attended the second Shakadida conference in Bangkok. Okay, and she met the also past Ayakema. Yeah. And this is when she focused on paintings, and because she established the Buddhist University, Huapan University in Taiwan. It is the first university, ordinary university established by a Buddhist group. But while she was so busy, still have some time to paint. And this is 1983. At her age 72, she started establishing Huapan University, and this shows because the whole floor of the floor plan was designed by herself. So the whole Huapan University, which we have the 7th Shakadida conference there, the whole floor plan right now is like the art, it's a piece of art of Venerable One. So this is 1999, because she had surgery twice, 2-time surgery in 2000, and so this is probably the last photo, we can see she actively working, and and this is the 7th Shakadida conference. She attended the opening ceremony, and everybody were very happy to meet her, to have the picture, and so we can see everybody are very happy there. And this one is well, she was always like to meditate. Okay, so from here we start showing her time painting. The first one is the probing into the tidings of silence. This one is almost the first time painting of Venerable Huan when she traveled in France. In these paintings, a Chan practitioner sits alone at the bottom left corner, while a bird is flying at the upper left corner, as we can see, and to the right is a mountain cliff. And this one is showing, it seems like a contrast between the bird in action and the mountain in stillness. And Master always asks the audience, which item do you think is the most quietness? And and mostly people will say the mountain. And then the master say, no, it's the bird. Because while flying, the bird has to be very quiet in mind. And which one is the most active one is the heart of the practitioner, the Chan practitioner. Because while sitting, but the mind is still active, but not wandering. Yeah. So in other words, he transcends the mere inactivity of the mountain or the overactivity of the bird. His mind is tuned, the practitioner's mind is tuned and harmonious. What also worthy mention here is the vast nothingness there in the left-hand side, which fully expresses the subtleness of the artful spatial idea of margin and corner. Okay, the second one is the moon. Yeah, in this picture, there is a moon high above a lonely mountain. And this is giving one the feeling that the universe is a mountain with lives after lives, just like the vitality in a man's life and the light in one original nature is without end. This can be likened to the state of Chan, where the unborn and the undying nature is always silent and illuminating. The third one, a shaft of internal light illuminates through the past to the present. Okay, a line from the Chan, because the Venerable Huan also wrote the poem of the Chan Master Su. The absence of birth highlight the emptiness and silence of the mountain. The falling shadow of 10,000 pine trees are loaded with their greenness. The nothingness of Kappa clearly belongs to the other side, while a shaft of eternal light illuminates from the past to the present. Okay, the fourth one is a communication of the mind goes beyond confining space. And we can see the two monks, sitting on the peak of the mountain. They can communicate, although the distance is so far. And the fifth one is to hide the six sense organs as a turtle does. It's described as a Chan practitioner should be watch up our six organs, like the turtles always to withdraw its head, tails, and six limbs when it meets danger. And the sixth one is the samadhi of neither walking nor sitting. It's described practitioner, is just to practice your Chan, meditation, watching your mind, contemplate your mind, although you are working in the daily life. So we can see the several monks. One is sitting on the street, and one is walking meditation, and one is gathering water, and also the one is chopping woods, gathering the woods, and the seventh one is hanging in the empty sky. The bright moon illuminates a high mountain. This is a simile of the clear and bright Chan state, in which a bright moon illuminates everything. The bright moon is usually compared by Chan master to our innate Buddha nature. Okay, this one is fine. Okay, so as one of the rare Chan practitioners, Venerable Q1 was also one of the rare female Chan painters since then. The study of Venerable Q1's Chan paintings is therefore meaningful theoretically and practically. Theoretically, they can serve as the basis for criticism. Practically, they can set up as an example for the later generation. The combination of Chan and enlightenment as hidden message in the paintings has its artistic value and is also inspiring. It is hoped that this study will usher in more of the kind to come, and that this legacy will carry on forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Xie. Now,